Have you ever felt like no matter where you go, you just don't belong? Like you're a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit in anywhere? Well, I get it. I felt like an outsider my entire life. I initially noticed this with my family, and as I grew older, I realized the same pattern while in school, with so called friends, and even at jobs. It's like I could always blend in just enough to avoid standing out too much, but deep down, I knew I wasn't genuinely accepted and that I was different from everyone else. Well, maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you've spent years wondering, what's wrong with me? Why don't I fit in anywhere? Well, what if I told you that this feeling isn't a flaw and that it might just be your greatest strength? In today's video, we're diving deep into the hidden truths behind why you feel this way and, more importantly, how you can use it to your advantage. Hi, my name is Christy. I'm a board certified nurse practitioner, health coach, and trauma survivor. And this is Trauma Free, where I help you change your mind and change your life just like I did. If you've ever felt like a lone wolf in a world that doesn't understand you, then this video is for you. And by the end, you might just realize that not fitting in is actually a gift. Okay, let's get into the science behind this for a second, because feeling like an outsider isn't just in your head. Turns out, there's actually brain chemistry and psychology behind it. Your brain's literally wired to react this way. And when you get why, suddenly all those weird feelings you have about yourself will start to click. So have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt like you didn't belong? Like there was some invisible force field keeping you from truly connecting with the people around you? Well, you're not imagining it. Researchers at Stanford University coined a term for this called belonging uncertainty. It's the uncomfortable feeling of not being accepted or valued in a particular space. And studies show that this can have pretty significant effects on our mental and emotional well-being. When we feel like we don't belong, it can cause us to initially question ourselves and our ability to fit in with others, which in turn creates bad feelings about ourselves. Because when you start to think, I don't belong here, it messes with your head. First comes the self-doubt, and you say, what's wrong with me? Then comes the shame, and suddenly you're not questioning your place, you're questioning your worth. And this can cause you to have lower motivation and performance. For example, there was a study done on some students who felt uncertain about their belonging, and they underperformed academically even when they were just as capable as their peers. This isn't just about school either. This applies to work, relationships, and life in general. When we believe we don't fit in, our motivation significantly decreases. Feeling left out has also been shown to increase anxiety and depression because feeling excluded repeatedly isn't just uncomfortable, it can be psychologically damaging. These feelings can begin to take a toll on us, ultimately causing social withdrawal and mistrust. Because the more we feel like outsiders, the more we tend to retreat into ourselves. Then you start to expect further rejection, leading to self-isolation and lack of trust in relationships. I bet you didn't know this either, but neuroscience has an explanation as to why rejection feels so bad. Because your brain treats social rejection the same way it treats actual physical pain. Like literally. There was a crazy experiment done to validate this, where people played a simple video game where they tossed a ball with others. At first, everyone played nice, then suddenly the game stopped passing to them. They were basically ghosted, and when the neuroscientists scanned their brains, the same pain regions that light up when you get physically injured also were activated when they were left out. So in other words, your brain can't tell the difference between social rejection and breaking a bone. No wonder it hurts so much when you feel like you don't belong. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because another study found that when people understand that feeling like an outsider is normal and temporary, they stop taking it so personally. They started seeing it as a passing phase rather than a personal flaw. And guess what happened? Their confidence, motivation, and overall happiness improved. So what does this mean? You are not alone, and most importantly, you are not destined to feel this way forever. Just because you feel like an outsider doesn't mean you truly are one. Science proves that your brain is wired to be hypersensitive to exclusion as a survival mechanism, but in today's world, that mechanism is often overreacting. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, I don't fit in anywhere, take a deep breath and remind yourself your brain is playing tricks on you. You're not alone and the feeling will pass. Alright, let's look at this another way. What if I told you that not fitting in might actually be your biggest advantage? That feeling different isn't a flaw, but a strength. Because some of the most successful, creative, and influential people in history were exactly like you, outsiders, misfits, and lone wolves. Psychologists have uncovered something revolutionary called the Happy Misfit Mindset, and it's where people who do not fit in don't just cope with being different, they leverage it. Think about it. Every major innovation in history came from someone who refused to accept this is just how things are. Happy misfits don't see their outsider status as a flaw. They treat it like a strength, and science shows why they're onto something. While most people nod along with the status quo, Happy Misfits ask, but why? This isn't just rebellion, it's how progress happens. Einstein was told he'd never amount to anything in school. Steve Jobs got fired from his own company. Their flaws, just their perspectives were too big for small-minded systems. Research proves that outsiders develop hyper-independent thinking. They combine ideas in ways normal brains wouldn't. Look at J.K. Rowling, who was a broke, depressed, single mom that created Harry Potter, just because she existed outside London's literary elite. A 2018 study revealed that outsiders scored 42% higher on divergent thinking tests. And here's what that really means. Others see problems with 2 to 3 solutions. You see 27 angles they never even consider. So start treating your unconventional ideas as your greatest assets, not something to hide. Have you ever used Post-it notes? That mistake came from a 3 young scientist whose failed adhesive was too weak for standard uses until it wasn't. Here's the truth. Not fitting in was never your weakness. It's your unfair advantage if you use it that way. Let's take a quick reality check. Think about some of the most brilliant minds in history. Were they the popular kids who effortlessly fit in? Nope. They were outsiders, misfits, rebels, and they changed the world because of it. Ask yourself, when was the last time that a follower changed the game? History's greatest leaps forward came from people who made others uncomfortable. For instance, Einstein's teachers called him slow. Colleagues found him odd. Meanwhile, he was too busy breaking Newton's 200-year-old physics laws to care about fitting in. So what looks like a social weakness might be cognitive horsepower others can't even process. And Steve Jobs was fired for being too difficult. Then he returned to save Apple with the iPod, which record executives laughed at, and the iPhone that Microsoft called a toy, and the iPad, which TechCrunch said would fail. If visionaries listened to the popular opinion, we'd still be using flip phones. Do you see the pattern? The people who make history aren't the ones who fit in. They're the ones who stand out. Now here's the real question. How do you see yourself? Do you view your differences as a flaw, or do you recognize them as evidence that you were meant for something greater? Because maybe you were never meant to fit in. The research is clear. When you stop apologizing for your differences and start using them for your benefit, everything changes. Because people that embrace their identity have a decrease in anxiety by up to 40%, because pretending to be someone else is exhausting. Take Sarah Blakely, who turned outsider status in the male-dominated undergarment industry into Spank's billion-dollar advantage. Or consider how Tim Burton's weird artistic vision got him fired from Disney right before becoming their most profitable director. This isn't about choosing between success and failure, it's choosing whose rules you'll play by. You weren't meant to follow the crowd. You weren't designed to be like everyone else. And deep down, I think you already know this. So the next time you start feeling like you don't belong, ask yourself, what if this is exactly how I'm supposed to be? because history proves it. The ones who don't fit in, they're the ones who change everything. Alright, let's take a trip inside your brain, because what do you feel when you don't fit in? It's not just in your head metaphorically, it's happening in your brain literally. Ever notice how rejection physically stings? That pit in your stomach when you're left out isn't just your imagination. Here's why exclusion feels like a punch to the gut. Your brain feels betrayal. That sharp ache when you see friends hanging out without you, that's the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, your brain's alarm system. It fires identically whether you're holding a scorching hot cup of coffee or reading a text that says, "Sorry, busy tonight." Evolution has a cruel joke because the evolutionary theory explains that our ancestors relied on group survival. If you were rejected from the tribe, your chances of survival were slim. That's why your brain treats exclusion as a serious threat to your well-being, triggering stress, anxiety, self-doubt. Basically, banishment equals death sentence. Unfortunately, your brain still runs on this ancient software. There is also a hidden health toll. Chronic loneliness isn't just sadness, it can be detrimental to your health, causing 50% higher stroke risk, weakens immunity similar to people who chain smoke, and it activates inflammation genes linked to cancer. So this isn't all in your head, it's in your cells. But here's what can make the difference, because understanding this can rewire your response. Just because your brain is wired to feel rejection doesn't mean you're stuck with it. Your brain is changeable because of neuroplasticity. Your thoughts shape your brain. Every time you repeat a thought, like "I don't belong," you strengthen that neural pathway that reinforces that belief. But you can change the story. Research shows that when people shift their focus from rejection to self-empowerment, they literally rewire their brain to process social experiences differently. Meditation and affirmations also work. Studies show that mindfulness and affirmations reduce activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and increases self-compassion and resilience. If you change the story you tell yourself about not fitting in, your brain will start to believe it. You'll literally reprogram your mind to feel more confident, more secure, and less affected by rejection. So instead of thinking, "Why don't I fit in?" what if you ask, "Where do I truly belong?" Because maybe you're not supposed to force yourself into places that don't see your value. Maybe you're designed for something greater, and your brain just needs to catch up. Society teaches us that fitting in equals belonging, but what if standing out is what actually makes you powerful? Let's break this down. Here's what science has to say about why not fitting in might actually be a gift. Number 1, it promotes authenticity and self-discovery, the freedom to be you. When people try too hard to fit in, they often end up suppressing their true selves. But when you don't conform, you're free to be who you really are. No mask and no faking it. To demonstrate, research has found that nonconformists, people who refuse to blindly follow social norms, are actually perceived as more competent, more powerful, and more authentic. The world doesn't need another carbon copy of someone else. It needs the real you. Number 2, you develop higher empathy and emotional intelligence. Ever notice how outsiders tend to be more aware of emotions, social cues, and unspoken tensions? That's not a coincidence, it's science. Researchers found that people who experience social exclusion develop heightened empathy because their brains become more attuned to subtle emotional cues in others. This is good for you because you sense emotions before others speak. You pick up on energies and vibes that most people ignore, and you become someone people trust deeply because you get them. That weakness everyone told you to hide turns out it's your built-in advantage. Funny how that works. Number 3, you increase resilience and independence. Think about it. If you've always felt like an outsider, that means you've had to rely on yourself more than most people ever have to. A study proved that resilience and perseverance are far better predictors of long-term success than intelligence and talent. And guess who develops resilience the fastest? People who have faced adversity early in life. You've had to be your own cheerleader. You've learned to trust your intuition. You've built a level of self sufficiency that most people never develop. Fitting in might make life easier, but standing out makes you stronger. Number 4, misfits are the ones who change the world. Think about the people who have made the biggest impact on history. Were they normal? No, they were the ones who challenged the status quo. Elon Musk was bullied in school. Now he's leading technological revolutions. Maybe you don't fit in because you were never meant to. Maybe you're here to build something different. When you stop seeing your differences as a curse and start seeing them as your greatest gift, your entire life changes. What if you're not lost? What if you're just ahead of your time? What if your uniqueness isn't a burden but your biggest advantage? Just because you don't fit in with the people around you doesn't mean you won't fit in anywhere. It just means you haven't found the right people yet. Society makes us believe that belonging means blending in. But what if true belonging has nothing to do with fitting in and everything to do with finding the people who see you and value you and appreciate you for exactly who you are? Here's how you can attract your real tribe without ever shrinking yourself. Stand in your authenticity, because people who embrace their uniqueness are perceived as more confident, charismatic, and attractive. Think about it. When you dull your light just to make others comfortable, the only thing you attract is more people who want you to stay small. Be boldly, unapologetically you. Let go of the fear of being too much. Your energy will naturally repel the wrong people and attract the right ones. If you have to dim your light to be accepted, you're in the wrong room. Seek out like-minded communities. They exist. According to the social identity theory, you will naturally gravitate towards groups that reflect your same values, beliefs, and interests. To sum it up, there are millions of people out there who think just like you, see the world just like you, and would love to connect with you. But you have to take the first step to find them. You don't need to force connections with the people around you. Just find the people already looking for someone like you. Create, don't conform. Build a life that celebrates you. Because people who embrace their individuality and creative expression report higher life satisfaction, stronger self-esteem, and deeper personal connections. So instead of trying to fit into a mold, what if you created your own space? Start that blog, YouTube channel, or creative project. Share your voice, your ideas, your art. When you put yourself out there authentically, your real tribe will find you. Don't waste energy fitting in where you don't belong. Build what you wish existed. Stop trying to be liked by everyone, because not everyone is meant to like you, and that's okay. Some people won't get you because they're not your people. Trying to please everyone just means losing yourself in the process. And when you stop chasing approval, you attract real connections. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. And the people who are meant for you, they'll find you when you finally embrace who you were always meant to be. And remember, be unapologetically you. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Seek out like-minded communities, both online and in real life. Stop conforming. Create a life where your uniqueness thrives. Let go of the need to be liked by everyone. True connections come from authenticity. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to be found by those who truly see you. Now, you just need to find your people because they're waiting for you. Let me ask you something. How much longer are you willing to hide parts of yourself just to feel accepted? How many more years will you spend trying to fit in to spaces that were never meant for you? The truth is, playing small won't protect you. It will only keep you trapped. Trying to please everyone won't make you happy. It will only make you lose yourself. Ignoring your uniqueness won't make life easier. It will only make you feel more alone. But the moment you step into your power, the moment you say enough, everything changes. You are not alone, and welcome to your tribe. Maybe you felt like an outsider your whole life, But here's the thing, outsiders like us, we build our own communities, we create our own spaces, and we don't wait to be accepted. We stand in our truth and attract the people who truly see us. And I want you to know, this community is for you. You don't have to change to belong. You already belong here. Your uniqueness is your strength. So stop waiting. Start owning it. Your journey starts now. If this video resonated with you, do these 3 things right now. Like this video if you're ready to stop hiding and start embracing who you truly are. Comment below and proclaim, I'm exactly who I'm meant to be, because the world needs your voice. And subscribe to Trauma Free for more deep, transformative conversations that help you reclaim your power. Until next time, take care.